Rian Johnson is debunking the 3 biggest Last Jedi controversies upsetting the fans. Now, Star Wars The Last Jedi has been in theaters for almost a month, and with the film's Rotten Tomatoes audience score hovering around 49%, people's thoughts on Episode 8 are, let's just say, mixed, with a few of writer-director Rian Johnson's decisions causing a lot of controversy amongst fans. And no, we're not talking about the green milk scene, although that was disgusting.
What's the deal with Luke?
This week, Johnson took to the press to explain some of his more divisive decisions, so saddle up, because here's the Rye Guys Star Wars interview roundup. Now, before we hit that old dusty trail, you should know that this episode contains spoilers, so if you haven't yet seen The Last Jedi, hold your space horses on watching this video, because spoilers, obviously. Ready? Okay, so first up, what was up with Luke's blue lightsaber in that final fight? Well, in an interview with IGN this week, Johnson explained that Luke had a very specific reason that his force projection carried his blue lightsaber into the crate duel with Kylo Ren instead of his usual green boy. Johnson said Luke knows that Kylo's Achilles heel is his rage. Ryan continues, that's why he decided to bring Kylo's grandfather's lightsaber down there.
That lightsaber, it belongs to me.
So it sounds like Luke used Kylo's obsession with Vader to throw him just a little more off balance, but wasn't Kylo directly responsible for tearing old man Anakin's lightsaber in half just minutes before his fight with Luke? Shouldn't that have tipped Kylo off that something was up? To that, Ryan says, the truth is, we see the lightsaber split in half. Kylo sees a blinding flash of light and is knocked unconscious, and then Rey takes the lightsaber away before he wakes up. So if you really want to dig into it and get an explanation, you can say that he doesn't 100% know what happened to the lightsaber. And speaking of that final showdown between Uncle Dearest and his precious emo nephew, next in our roundup is Rye Guy's explanation for the creative new ways to use the Force. Now, The Last Jedi brought us surprise Force Skype sessions and astral projections, both of which are new additions to the technical manual on how to use the Force. Now, before The Last Jedi, we knew about the Force and its basic workings. We even found out about how the Force is measured in its users, midichlorians, you might remember, which were definitely not divisive at all in the Star Wars fandom, but no previous film ever really dove into all the bonus features. Apparently, there's more to this space magic than moving rocks, super dope lightsaber skills, and mind control.
You want to go home and rethink your life?
I want to go home and rethink my life.
Rian Johnson talked through these changes with the LA Times last month, just after the film hit theaters, and here's how he defended his new Force choices. You forget that they were introducing new Force stuff with each movie, based on the requirements of the story. Force grabbing didn't come around until Empire, it wasn't in A New Hope, same with Force Ghosts. They'd introduce new ideas of what could happen with the Force each time. This is all very true. Speedrunning in Phantom Menace, anyone? Ew. But that truth doesn't always change fan rage into fan acceptance. But as for the details of those Force changes, they definitely line up with Ryan's point in that they were all tied to the plot. Ryan wanted Rey and Kylo to connect in a setting where they wouldn't just immediately go to blows, and the Force provided that. Leia's untapped Force power, which she may have been ignoring or suppressing her whole life, finally kicked in when it was life or death, paralleling the possible impending end of the rebellion, and Luke's Force projection trick, well, it seems like a stretch, but one could argue that Luke chose astral projection instead of actually showing up to do battle as a sort of an elaborate magic trick, giving the rebels time to escape, which is exactly what I thought. So, and the final horse in this here roundup is, of course, the big golden-robed stallion Snoke. After his intro in The Force Awakens, fan speculation on Snoke's identity got to such heights that we could spend hours debating them, and in fact, I think we did. Did The Last Jedi trailer reveal Rey's connection to Snoke? We have got a first look at Snoke's Praetorian Guards, and we're breaking down what they mean for the Supreme Leader in Episode 8. We're breaking down the one hidden detail in Snoke's Force Friday toy. Now, these theories varied wildly from Snoke as Rey's dad, Snoke as Palpatine, Snoke as Jar Jar, so one expectation was that Episode 8 would put at least some of those theories to rest and give us some deets on the Golden Daddy's backstory, but that was just not so, and Snoke died before we ever got to really know him. Now, some might say that he was only half a developed character in our eyes. In defense of skipping over, Johnson points to pacing as the reason for the omission. If suddenly I had paused one of the scenes to give a 30-second monologue about who he was, it would have kind of stopped the scene in its tracks. It was a tough thing, even though I knew some fans were interested in it. I also knew it wasn't something that dramatically had a place in the movie. I completely do not understand this. I'm going off. Nope, don't cut me off. I completely do not understand this, and I'll tell you why. Canto Bight was a completely worthless scene. You couldn't spare 30 seconds to have Snoke get a little bit of a backstory after making that much of a big deal out of him? Ugh, I mean, come on. So Johnson makes some solid points here. I don't think so, but whatevs. But still, Snoke speculators were hoping to get even the tiniest morsel of info about him, I'm one of them, and spin it into fresh new theories. But now that Snoke is dead, it's time to let the past die, unless JJ brings it back up in episode 9. But what do you think? Will these Last Jedi controversies affect the film's legacy? How will JJ expand Force powers in episode 9? And Snoke was definitely Jar Jar, right? That's why he died so fast. Let's discuss. Be sure to like and subscribe, and hey, do you wish Nerdist had one of those roundtable shows where 4 intelligent people debate the finer points of pop culture in a humorous and insightful setting? Well, so do we, but until we get that show going, why don't you watch Nerdist News Talks Back? It's our daily show where we break down the latest in entertainment. You can catch it every day, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific.